Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to welcome you again for another incredible conversation here on LinkedIn Live. This time, we're going to talk about getting your data decision ready because, after all, data needs to support decisions. All businesses nowadays in the digital transformation age, they need to support their decisions with data rather than, just with feelings. Quite simply, information and the data that is collected is indeed a treasure for organizations that want to make decisions, with knowledge in mind. But before we go into that, I want to welcome you all for this new session. I am in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. Once again, here it's a wonderful day, almost 30 degrees and very sunny, and it's really a pleasure to be here. But I'm curious, where are you coming from? Drop it in the comment, and let's get ready, of course, for a new discussion on data management, of course. Before we get into that, actually, I would like to remind you all that quite soon we have an amazing appointment with data lovers from all around the world. We're going to discuss the most compelling, the most crucial topics right now in data management, and let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the Data Management Marathon. Now at its 7th editions, it's an event that we built actually when we couldn't meet face to face. But we decided to keep going. We decided to run events to unite data management professionals and data lovers from all around the world. And you know what? Even nowadays, it is important to nurture both your face to face relationships and be active in the virtual world. Because after all, there is so much that we can learn. And let me tell you, out of my own experience, I met with people online that I would have never met otherwise. And it's been a pleasure learning different perspectives, different markets, different people, different experts that, I got to engage with and share ideas with thanks to this very event. So as you can say, incredible leaders will be sharing their data stories. And let me tell you, we're really covering it all. We start from presentations that are addressing, kind of analogies between data governance and mountaineering. We're talking about rapid prototyping. We're talking about soft skills. We're talking about generative AI, of course, but not in the usual hypey manner. We're going to talk about ethical risks. We're going to talk about the cost of AI. And we are going to talk also about how to make sure your company adopts artificial intelligence with ethical principles in mind. So, to all of you, on the 12th and 13th of June, there is an incredible event that you should all consider. After all, you don't need to book any kind of ticket. You don't need to fly anywhere. You can watch the whole marathon from the comfort of your home. All you need to do really is to bring passion, enthusiasm, and come with plenty of questions. There are more than 30 speakers, and for every single session, we have 10 minutes Q&A with every speaker. When you think about it, it's hours and hours and hours with data leaders, people that have done it. They bring their experience, they bring their lessons learned, and you can interact with them. Because yes, it's a virtual event, but it doesn't mean you need to be in front of a screen and just watch it passively. You need to interact with people. You need to make the content relevant for you. So, visit our website, book the Data Management Marathon now at its 7 editions, and I really look forward, with all the fingeringers team, to see you online. Now, for today, again, we have a fantastic topic. I have the pleasure to have the elite partner of the Data Management Marathon, Matchbook AI. Specifically, the guest speaker of today is Rushabh Mehta, the CEO and founder of the company, and he will tell us everything about how to get your data decision ready. Hi, Rushabh. How are you?
Hey, Pio. Good. How are you doing? Thank you for having me here.
Very well. Very well. It's a pleasure. Let me tell you, it's a pleasure. And of course, The people that will be at the marathon are definitely in for a treat, learning more about what you do, what Matchbook does. But today we're going to talk about decision ready data. Before we get into that, for those in the audience that don't know about you yet, tell us something about yourself.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm the CEO and founder of Matchbook AI, but I've been in the data and analytics space for well over almost 25 years, where I've built everything from analytics platform, data warehousing, and everything dealing with how to get decision ready data to people that need it within the business.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I will start with definitions then. What is decision ready data?
Yeah. So, I was recently talking to one of my investors, and he reminded me of this important quote. He used to be an executive at a large Fortune 500 company, and he had this sign on his door which said, "In God we trust, all others bring data." Right, and that's very hard hitting. And if you think about it, it's all about when you're trying to make decisions at an organization, no matter what size, you really want to make data driven decisions. You want to make sure that any decisions has the backing of data and rich information. It's not just based on gut feelings, but it's really backed by hardcore information and data. And so when we think about decision ready data, I really look at five key attributes for that. The first one is the timeliness of the data, right? So I need to make a decision on something right now. I should have the information and the data I need to make that decision at my fingertips then. I shouldn't have to now suddenly go into this data collection mode of trying to piece together information and data and then eventually make the data. So timeliness is very important because uh, delayed decision can also be a bad decision, right? Uh, but then also, when you think about the data that you're bringing in, accuracy is very important, right? If I'm really making some decision that could be critical to my organization, I want to make sure that the data that I use is as accurate as possible. And when I think about accuracy, there's also a question of defensibility, right? And of that data. So making sure that it's accurate. Uh, it's really high quality data. So I'm not just pulling data based on, hey, let me just go ask Chat GPT what it thinks, and then use that as the basis and the foundation, without really analyzing the sources of that data, where it came from, and is it truly accurate or not, right? Because there's a lot of inaccurate data floating around as well. So how do you discern what is high quality data that you can use, right? Very important, and part of that is knowing the source of the data. uh, then the fourth one is context for the data. Are you really bringing in the right data to support the context of what you need? And I'll give you a great example of that. So let's say that you are in sales, and for sales, as you're trying to sell a particular product, let's say I'm Zoom Communications, and I'm trying to sell licenses of the Zoom platform within an organization. So now, if I need to know how many people work within that organization, there can be differences within that. For example, I may be looking at who works in that particular division or the office that I'm trying to sell this into, or I could be looking at who works within the overall enterprise and to make that decision. So how many employees work within the enterprise versus at an office? And so really, the context of that data has to fit what you're looking for. So that's again very important. And then lastly, just the overall confidence level in the data itself, to where you have a confidence within your decision, right? Is it really good data? And part of that confidence building comes from all the other four dimensions that we talked about: the timeliness, the accuracy, the quality, and the context, and making sure all of those are clearly met so that you can have a high level of confidence in your data.
Oh, absolutely. And I like that you started with the timeliness because just as you were saying, time matters. It's not like every time you go with the decision, you need to, start from scratch because time is important as well.
Yeah.
It's very important in the equation. So we talked about high quality data. And that I feel is one of the things that many organizations struggle with. There is a difficulty in defining what is high quality data. There is a difficulty in maintaining high quality data, and organizations are realizing right now that high quality data is the foundation for a lot of other things that they want to do. So I'd
Yeah.
like to ask you, what is high quality data? What are the challenges? How do we fix them?
Yeah. So, one of the interesting things about high quality data is high quality data can be different based on the context. So, we cannot just assume that if we have an MDM platform that is providing us this data that is well governed based on metrics and all, that is high quality data for a particular decision. For example, if I'm in I'll go back to the same example of sales, right? If I'm in sales, for me a high quality address is where I'm trying to sell into, right? But
Yeah,
for an MDM, a high quality address might be the registered address of that company. It may not be the physical address. So again, quality can differ based on the context. So the high quality can be different for different contexts, even within an organization. The same attribute, I talked about the employee count, for example. Again, that can be different. So when we think about high quality, we really need to consider context for that high quality. But also with high quality comes, how accurate is it? How are you getting it? Uh, and and how verifiable is this data as well. So part of that is, is it verified, is it accurate? If I have a phone number that I need to call, is it an accurate phone number? Is that email accurate, and can I reach that person through that? uh, that those are examples of high quality data. And sometimes when it comes to quality, even just the data quality of your data can
yeah,
can impact the quality, right? And again, one of the things I've learned in my 25 years of being in data quality or data analytics is, as much as a company might tell me that, oh, our systems have really high quality data, when it comes to context, it doesn't really meet the context. So, yeah.
yeah. It's indeed fundamental. Context is absolutely fundamental. And yes, I feel like many organizations think that their data quality is in better conditions than it actually is, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Very good, very good. So, we address these pillars and this characteristic of decision ready data. But how do you actually manage? How do you maintain it? How do you make sure that these pillars remain intact along the
Right.
way?
Yeah. So when you think about decision ready data, one of the one of the biggest truths in data is that data is always changing, right? So when it comes to decision ready data, if you're not maintaining that data to make sure that you're capturing changes appropriately and accurately, you are tracking those changes, it becomes very hard because your decision ready data can go stale pretty quickly, right? And
Yeah,
part of it is you may make a decision based on the most accurate data that's available today, but part of being a decision ready organization is also making sure that your decisions are constantly reevaluated based on changing conditions in the data. So one of our customers is, they write insurance policies, for example, and
hmm,
and they look at risk data about organizations and so on. So they look at these risk data to make underwriting decisions, right? To say, oh, this person has this kind of credit, and so uh, they might be good based on this policy. Or if you think about taking insurance for your car, they're looking at everything from past accident behaviors to your credit histories to everything else to decide how much premium you're going to charge, your age as well, and so on. And then once they make that decision, if they're not constantly reevaluating those factors, for example, you could suddenly have gone into two other car accidents, right, in the next 2 months. And so if they are not constantly re-evaluating, across their portfolio, across their business, which is based on certain risk models, those risk models have changed and shifted. And part of it is not just managing the data itself to make sure you always have current and up-to-date data being maintained within your systems, but you also need to have things like observability on this data,
Mm.
so that observability can actually guide you and cut through the noise to say, here's a tipping point where something actually changes within your decision point, because you don't just want to see every change that happens in a data point, because this could be hundreds of thousands to millions of changes coming through on a daily or weekly basis, depending
Okay.
on the volumes and the types of data you're looking at. But you really want to cut through that noise, and so observability becomes extremely important to that. And so making sure that when you think about data management, you're thinking not just about how am I going to maintain and keep the data up to date in near real time, but then also how am I going to do things like observability, so I'm constantly up to date and aware of something that might impact decisions that have been made as well.
And how do you make that happen?
Not easy. So part of that is making sure that you're constantly monitoring all the different sources of data that you're bringing in for these decisions. Making sure that as data changes, you have proper tracking that you're doing on this data, and then making sure you have the right kind of observability systems in place to give you insights. And so this is a journey for any organization, and part of that is starting from the first step of it, which is ensuring high quality decision ready data, and then ensuring every process in the step gets put in place so that you not only are monitoring all this data and keeping it managed, but then adding things like observability and having a layer of insights that allow you to always keep your decisions up to date. So it's definitely a journey. It's not something that is just overnight plug and play and we are done. We have it. Uh, and I'm sure this is why so many of us come to this conference as well, the data management marathon and all, to really learn about what's happening in the industry, how are people solving these challenges, which becomes very, very important. And even as we look at forward looking things like, how do I leverage things like generative AI and other things to make better decisions faster and all that, this is foundational, and this always needs to be addressed first.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We've been running events on data management and MDM for many, many years, and we run them, every 6 months or less than that. And you might think, well, okay, it's the same story. But the reality is it's not, just giving credit to the fact that it is a journey and that the world is changing and that there are new technologies and everything, the software, the mindset in organizations when it comes to data need to maintain this level of both flexibility,
Mhm.
adaptability, and the people themselves need to maintain a level of curiosity and understanding. Well, okay, 5 years ago it wasn't the same thing. It was perceived more like a project that you finish, you're done, good,
Right.
implemented, and now everything is running at the speed of light, and you need to take into considerations all this, not maintaining, as you said, but you need to take into consideration of observability, and who knows what else we need to take into consideration in 1 year from now, isn't
Absolutely. So when you think about the business problems with data, they kind of have been the same over the years.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but what's changing is the technologies that are allowing us to do more, that are allowing us to solve those business problems in newer ways as well, and really adding, at the end of the day, more competitiveness within your business, right? Because you are in a highly competitive world. Your business has to survive against many others that may be leveraging data better. And at the end of the day, if you can't leverage your data well to make these decisions in a timely fashion, do better than your competitor, even if it's a hairline better, you really lose a big edge. And at the end of the day, you're talking about revenue losses, profitability, and sometimes also huge risks and fines because you're not doing certain things to be compliant with regulatory requirements as well because of that.
Yes, I hear more and more. This is a significant shift, for instance, if we're talking about competitive edge, because I feel again that data management or MDM were more like reactive initiatives, right? Aimed at cost cutting or something like this, which is of course very important. But they started from the question, how much, you know? And now the conversation is more into it's more forward looking, right? How can we be more competitive? How
Yes.
can we be faster in our decisions, more accurate compared to the competitor, and so on and so forth? So I think this is a significant shift. Is that what you're noticing as well with the
Yeah, we are
current world?
noticing a significant shift as well, even within our customers, because they are slowly starting to get away from the this is what we need to do to here's what we can possibly do, and get so much better. Right? I think even with just in the last year and a half with generative AI and all, companies are realizing they can do things way better with
Hmm.
with their business. They can drive massive efficiencies as well within operations. Obviously, cutting costs is always a big thing, but at the end of the day, it's all about that competitive edge. And so as technology changes, as the world is changing around us, the world is changing much more rapidly than I think we could ever have imagined. And I think it's it's all about living in this world. It's you can no longer be the old guard without something catching up, right? And surpassing you or bypassing you as well. If you're not in the front, then you're slowly going back, right? If you're not staying hyper competitive on the cutting edge, making better decisions every single day, uh, that that does hurt you. So
Yes, and I think in the beginning when generative AI made its appearance, it took a lot of attention from data management and so on.
yeah.
Now we're seeing the situation reversing. We're understanding the importance of data quality and so on. And I think it's,
Right.
I mean, kind of, thank you, generative AI. You're bringing back the value of
Back to the
contextualization and so
basics.
on. Exactly, which were always there, and they will probably always be there for any new technology that appears in the coming decade. What do you think?
Yeah, we are suddenly seeing more and more people saying, oh, data quality matters, right? And
Yeah.
especially because they have all these generative AI based AI initiatives within their company, and they're suddenly starting to realize that the output is as good as the input, right? We've always talked about this garbage in, garbage out. That
Yes.
remains as true today. And fortunately, I think we have more and more technologies that allow us to do better with our data. And so it's incumbent upon us, all of us in this room listening to this presentation, because you're really here to learn about how to do better with your data, how to help your organization drive better decisions at the end of the day and manage data better, uh, and succeed in these new age initiatives with generative AI and everything else down the stream. We have quantum computing and all that that's making things so much faster as well. But again, feeding it good data back to the basics, I think is very important. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And, there is in fact, there's a question here about the future of data management. Where do you see it going?
So it's changing quite a bit. Honestly, I don't know where it's going to go. There's so much happening with new technologies, new ways of doing things, new ways of managing your data better. Uh, so I'm not exactly sure I can fully grasp where and how that's going to change, but I can
Yeah.
definitely tell you over the next few years, I think companies are focusing a lot on how to manage their data better and keep that more up to date for their business needs and all. The technologies underneath are going to change, right? We are looking at more and more of when we think about overall data management, more and more companies are starting to look away from these point solutions that do one thing and one thing really
Mm,
well to starting to look at more comprehensive solutions that provide this data management, right? So within the next few years, you'll start seeing shifts to these larger, probably the cloud companies that have these comprehensive platforms around data management, which will do everything from the data integration to master data management to data quality to observability and insights and everything in between that really make up the stack, which can be a single well integrated stack for everything you want to do. So you're starting to see a lot of that shift with even a lot of the database technologies and how they're trying to easily allow you to bring in multiple types of data, structured, unstructured data, all that. You'll start seeing more integrated generative AI capabilities right within these platforms. You already see uh, database providers or providers like Databricks and Snowflake starting to put in more emphasis on building those layers and right within their database as well. So you'll start seeing more of that shift where a lot of your data starts living in these integrated layers and more services coming on top to manage all that in a more comprehensive manner. So I definitely see that being the shift and something that will continue for the next probably decade or so. What the future brings really goes back to what new technologies come out. It's hard to predict that, but it's
yeah.
definitely exciting and interesting for us to see how that's progressing.
Yeah, yeah, I have seen this tendency rather than using a bunch of different things that do one thing well. It's a lot from the solution side. I'm seeing things that are trying to handle as much as possible end to end kind of thing as well.
Exactly.
And I another thing I'm noticing also is solutions are getting more, I would say, easier to use without that level of complexity that made them approachable only by, you know, highly technical
Highly
individuals. They're
technical.
getting a little bit closer to the users, let's say, right now. What do you think? Have you
Exactly.
seen that too?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you just look at master data management, right?
Yeah.
2 years back, implementing an MDM platform took months, if not
Hmm.
years, right?
Mm,
With not the best chance of success. And now you're seeing the ability to use MDM platforms and start using that and start driving value, very importantly, much quicker than needing a specialized, highly specialized team of people that need to come in to go implement that as well. So we are starting to see that, just from a tooling perspective, but also technology. I think technology is helping. Starting to use AI within that is starting to help as well, where you're taking a lot of that human in the loop interaction and then starting to build those patterns and consume and use those patterns more effectively.
yeah, and I'm seeing lots of low code, rise of low code, no code applications as well, which again brings us along the same line of thought, I
Yes,
would say.
absolutely. Right. Yeah, a lot of no code applications now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So obviously, we are talking about changes. So I'd like to ask you a concrete example, something that you have done with one of your clients, or success story, or a case study
Yeah.
that can help us understand this in numbers, and also not only the numbers of the before and after, but whether it needed in the beginning some kind of mindset shift to start making the change happen.
Yeah. So we have, so one of our customers is a very large government contractor. And and one of the business challenges they kept having was because they're a government contractor, they needed to manage their spend by vendor diversity. And with
Yeah,
vendor diversity, you want to know how much of your spend is going to small businesses versus minority owned, veteran owned, those kinds of things. And so one of the big challenges was, first of all, the timeliness of the data. By the time they got to make a vendor decision, they didn't really have all the information to know if there was a diversity vendor in there. um, the accuracy was also a challenge because they were not able to accurately connect to the right set of information to get this data. And then, more so ever, they were only feeding and updating this data maybe once a year or once every 2 years. So they were constantly being reactive as an organization to changes.
yeah,
And so, by using our platform, they were able to, first of all, not only get a lot of high quality data in real time, so that as they onboarded new vendors, they knew immediately what the diversity information was. So they could immediately track all their spend by diversity. But by keeping this data up to date on a ongoing basis, almost daily, they were able to constantly track where they stood in terms of their compliance by vendor diversity, so that that was never a question for them. So that became very valuable because now they did not have to take extraordinary steps each and every time to figure out where they were in relation to their
yeah.
compliance and so on as well. So something like that becomes very critical to a business and business operations as well.
100%. And the compliance, I mean, considering all the new regulations that come out so frequently, is indeed the big driver
Yeah,
for this.
absolutely.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Now, of course, we're all looking forward to meeting you at the Data Management Marathon. So perhaps you could give us a bit of an idea of what you will cover, a sneak peek about what you will cover in June.
Yeah. So my session is about confidence in data decisions, and so I'm really going to talk about more the business side of good decision-ready data. Talk about the impact that decision-ready data can have to a business. It's not just about doing something you do better today, but
Yeah,
actually how you can do more, and you can change the way your business thinks by having good data, right? You can change and literally increase the output of your business, increase the revenue opportunities for your business, and so on. So I'm actually excited to have one of our key customers on
mm,
that, where they're going to talk about the transformations they're doing on their business side because they have better data on the other end to make decisions, but also to change how their business thinks about data.
that's a big, yeah, that's a big transformation indeed. That it's always very valuable when it is presented by the client, by a customer that has gone through it. So I'm
Right.
really looking forward, actually, to hearing
Absolutely.
uh, all about the story. Now, of course, not the whole world and not all data lovers will be at the Data Management Marathon, but I would like to make sure that anyone in the audience that want to know more about Matchbook and about you can find resources, can find information, and perhaps can connect with you directly. What would be the best way to do so?
Yeah, I think one is connect with me on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
send me a message through LinkedIn. I think that's easiest. I look at that frequently enough and respond there. So, and then the website for Matchbook is matchbookai.com. So definitely go there to learn about Matchbook uh, and see what we do as well.
Actually, when did you start Matchbook?
So I started it about 6 years back. Uh, I started looking at the platform and looking to build it about 7 years back, more as, I really started seeing the challenge that customers were having with especially onboarding a lot of external data that they make for decision making, and the challenge of that timeliness, the accuracy, the quality, all of
Mm,
those were really impacting the business's abilities to use external data effectively to make decisions. So it really ended up, I looked at this and said there has to be a better way, and that's what Matchbook became. It really became this no code solution, as you call it, to connect to external data effectively and leverage it within your enterprise.
very good, very good. Well, I mean, it's been a long way, and I'm curious, because starting something like Matchbook and seeing, of course, the results that you had over the last 6 years is not easy. So, as a founder of the company, I would like to ask you, what drove you, and what made sure that Matchbook would not only start but succeed as it does?
Yeah. So what drove me was the business problem, and it was, I've always enjoyed a problem and looked at finding solutions. So being able to find a solution to this massive problem that I was seeing company to company when it came to external data was really what drove me to build the solution. And what drives me is seeing how our customers are actually effectively able to use and drive value from a platform, and it's actually transforming the way they're doing business. It's not just transforming their ability to make better decisions, but as you'll see with my discussions with Matt at the event, that it's actually transforming what they can do as well. And so that to me is very exciting, and that's what's really driving us to continue innovating, continue looking at how we drive that entire data management paradigm that I talked about as a no code solution for external data for enterprises, because it's a big problem I'm seeing across every company that we talk to.
Yeah, very good. Well, I would say that this is really the perfect way to end this discussion. And I invite really everyone to find out more. And, obviously, there is a link below there. Natalia just posted it for us to join the Data Management Marathon. It's the seventh time we have it. And again, it's just one click away for everyone to join. Well, Roshab, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. Very interesting. We should do it more often, actually. And I want to thank you, really, for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pio, for having me. And thank you, Natalia, for everything as well. Hopefully, I'll see everyone at that conference. Very excited for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to wish everyone in the audience a fantastic continuation of the day and see you at the Data Management Marathon 7.0.